Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Nilambujasyamalakomalangam Sita Samaropita Bhagam Panau Mahashayaka Charu Chapam Namami Ram Raghuvanshanatham. Adorations to Lord Rama, whose complexion is like a blue lotus. He is very tender and delightful in appearance. Sita is seated on his left side, and he is carrying a powerful bow and arrow in his hands. We are in Bala Kanda, the very first section of Sri Ramcharitmanas, and Doha number 4. This is introductory writing. Tulsidasji is explaining that he wants to offer his adorations to all souls and to receive blessings from them in order to succeed in writing the glory of Rama. But in so doing, he is also creating a distinction between the divine qualities called daivi sampat and asuri sampat. Asuri is undivine, demoniac qualities. You don't have to go far and wide to look for demoniac spirits. Demoniac and divine, they blend in every individual. If you are all divine qualities, there will be no need for any satsanga. You will be enlightened. There is always a mixture, blend, higher and lower self. And one must develop a subtle sensitivity in your mind that discerns, discriminates between good and what appears pleasant. Upanishad calls it Shreya and Preya. Shreya is good, but it doesn't necessarily has to give you the sense of being pleasant. Preya is pleasant, but definitely it is defective, it is negative, degrading. These two types of pull are exercised on every soul in this world process. Those who allow the higher self in them, the daivi sampat, to conquer the asuri sampat, the demoniac qualities. You must realize demoniac qualities are like electricity that is not flowing well, short-circuited. Short-circuited electricity is harmful in your house. It becomes demoniac. But what can you do about it? If you create more agitation in the house, it will be negative. You need a proper attention and remove the short circuit. Once short circuit is corrected, the negative aspect is not there. Anger, hate, greed, fear, anxiety, sorrow, all things that make life miserable, they are demoniac. They are short-circuited energy. They are demanding on your energy more and more, but for no positive purpose. If you worry about something, and people around you go on encouraging you, yes, it is not as you think, it is worse. That wouldn't cure the situation. Without my going into too much detail, let me go through the most elegant and inspiring writings of Saint Tulsidas. Udasen arimit hit sunat jarahi khalarit jani pani jug jori jan binati karai saprit. Tulsidas described saintly people with divine qualities. Now he is also describing unsaintly people. Mind must have the ability to choose between good and evil. So good has to be described and evil has to be described in a proper way. In reality, they are mixed up like a milk mixed, blended with water. According to Puranic scriptures, and the idea is that swans have the ability to separate milk, leave behind water. No other creature can, not even a human being with all his intelligence. Put milk and water together, he can't just sip out the milk. But spiritual sensitivity, when it develops in your intellect, it's called vivek, viveka buddhi. It discerns, it separates good from evil, even though it's very difficult to separate. But it is spontaneous. But dusht, those who do not have that viveka buddhi, they are called dushtas, wicked, dull-wit, low-grade personalities. When they hear about something good is happening to people around them, people are described in the verse as udasin, those who are indifferent, those who are enemies, those who are friends. Tulsidasji has left out those who are joyously progressive. It's not left out. That's the art. That's the way the art is done. You do not go into mathematical precision of describing every term. Few of the words are used, and that would imply anything else is left out is included in it. This point has been brought out in Raja Yoga Sutras. Matri karuna muditopekshanam sukha dukkha punya vishayanam bhavanata chitta prasadam. The mind is purified by being friendly with the joyous. See the different type of personalities. Joyous personalities are those who are positively advancing. And you should not develop jealousy towards them. You shouldn't develop the idea of pulling their legs so that you can be superior. But rather, you should be inspired that here is my example. I must follow the footsteps of these people who have gone high. That's called mudita. That makes your mind joyous. Joyous, seeing those who are advancing. If you don't have that, then your eyes get crooked. The eyebrows become twisted. So each time you see someone really progressive, that's what happens to the face. I will not go into details that way. Then there are people who are friendly, who are on equal terms, very similar to yourself, placed in different situations. Try to develop an open-hearted relationship. Friends, You are able to tell your weaknesses. The friend can tell you his weaknesses. And this communication is not to intensify the negative, but to help each other in a positive way. That Maitri attitude is highlighted for all good activities. Consider the entire world as as friendly. Mitra Bhavana towards the entire world, towards all living beings. Karuna. There are people who are in a miserable situation. Sometimes you lift them up, help them, but again they fall down because their feet are slippery. And your patience runs out. You begin to laugh at them, curse them. You should have gone to hell. This attitude is extremely rajasic, tamasic, extremely demoniac. Compassion, a heart that doesn't have compassion, no matter how much your intellect may have its brightness, but if you lack compassion, all your attainment is zero. That's from profounder point of view. Because you were once in those situations. You needed people to understand you, help you, not laugh at you. Likewise, you must understand those who are in negative situations. Your role is how to inspire them, how to lift them up. In so doing, you feel a sense of immense joy that you are lifting yourself up, because they are not really other than you. And that requires a little subtle mystic insight into the soul. The absolute soul is like the sun. Individual souls are reflected suns. The reflected suns are not separate from the sun. And therefore the reflected suns are not separate from each other. Figure that out with mathematics. Therefore, otherness does not exist from divine point of view. All are yourself. How much compassion can you have? If your compassion is profound, you are advancing spiritually. Therefore, the practical teachings are serve, love, meditate, realize. Learn to serve. Even though those who are completely inferior to you from practical point of view, you are not helping them, you are serving God in them. They are offering you opportunity. And that's the practice of divine love in your daily life. Then there are people who are extremely negative. They are terrorists. When you encounter them, behave as if you have been turned into a stone. Do not show any reaction. Do not start correcting them. That you have to go and figure that out why. Cold indifference allows so many negative problems move away fast. But the moment you begin to interfere and start explaining your view of things, that opens the door to the negative imaginations, ideas, and thoughts of the negative people. And when they are brought into excitement, they become eloquent. and very powerful. So don't excite them. When this attitude is adopted, muditas, cheerfulness towards those who are successful, advancing, matri, friendliness towards those who are in equal capacity, who are in a state of equality with you, those who are afflicted, developing compassion towards them, and those who are dull-wit and extremely terroristic, developing indifference towards them. These attitudes have to be learned well. If you have developed that, then you end up your day with a mind that is relaxed. Chitta prasadanam. You get prasad. Your daily puja is over. And the prasad is your mind has filtered out positive impressions, no matter whatever might have been your associations with people. In Ramayana, later you will read how Rama asked Vibhishana, how is it you live with so many demons with all their negative qualities, and you have developed such wonderful qualities? And he says, by your grace, by my devotion to you. And he describes it in a poetic way. Just as the tongue stays with 32 teeth, adapting and adjusting, similarly one must live with all the teeth all around you. मैं अपनी दिशि दिकीन निहोरा, तिन निजोर न लाऊ बभोरा, बायस पालियहि अति अनुरागा, होहि निरामिष कबहु की कागा. This is my prayer for everyone. But I know that those people who are demoniac, they will not give up their nature. I know I will be criticized, that's what he is meaning. That all people will not love my Ramayana. And he accepts it from the very beginning. Hohi niramish kabahu ki kaga. There are two types of personalities. Personalities that can change. A swan that has come out of muddy water looks like a crow. But wash the swan and it becomes swan. And a crow has come out of a flock of swans, was pretending it was a swan. But it can never be a swan. You can't turn a swan into a vegetarian. As Tulsidasji says. In other words, certain realities of the world you must understand and accept it. You should not become upset, agitated. How is it I did all my mantras and did all my spiritual lessons I have learned, exercised them all, and yet I cannot change this person. Who are you to change the person? Your expectation is not to change people by a miracle, but become a channel of God who changes people. Being a channel of God, that is your greater purpose. Act in a righteous way, in a virtuous way. Be always on the side of dharma, goodness. But Don't let your mind become deluded that since you have said many good things and people have become completely free from their negative qualities, they have become saints. You gave a lecture on Aham Brahmasmi and they all smile. Say, oh, they are all Brahman now. Don't get deluded. बंदम संता सज्जन चरना दुख प्रद उभय बीच कछु बरना बिछुरत एक प्राण हरि लेहि मिलत एक दुख दारुन देहि. Now I offer adorations at the feet of Sant and Asant. Sant, saints. Asant, those who are not saintly but negative, those who are evil-minded. However, I adore the feet of both. Because how would you know the difference between the feet? All the feet look alike. See? And the idea behind it, that if you understand, unsaintly people are intrinsically saintly. Their energies have become distorted, short-circuited. They are patients. Just like, think of the difference between healthy people and patient people. Patient people have to be impatiently hospitalized. And you have to keep yourself sometimes so distant from the patient people, even though they are your loved one. If it is an allergic situation, it's a matter of contamination. Sometimes you are completely separated. But all that is a part of goodness. So, though you must keep separated from the unsaintly, be vigilant about their activities and be especially careful. Yet, you should not develop a hatred towards them because they are the same potential, they are same as you, and they are hospitalized. They have turned to negative because of their negative karmas. And if you can help them to uplift themselves, paropakar, doing good to others is considered the best of dharma. Be good, do good. Adopt that policy. Without having the great expectation that since your authentic hand has helped them, they must be helped. Don't get too deluded. Do the needful, but be relaxed. Now, there is a difference between Sant and Asant. That difference Tulsidasji is explaining. Why? Because knowing the qualities of a saint, you will try to develop those qualities. Knowing the defects of unsaintly people, you will try to remove those defects. The knowledge of qualities and defects is necessary to enhance your spiritual movement. The more you know what good qualities are, the more you know what qualities go to form your daivi sampat, your divine wealth, and the qualities that make you demoniac, the more you know in a subtle way, better you are in a position to advance. Now coming, big difference between Sant and Asant. बिछुरत एक प्राण हरि लेहि मिलत एक दुख दारुन देहि. For saintly people, you meet a saintly person. Separating yourself from that saint is like losing your very life. Bichurat ek pran hari lehi. The moment you separate yourself from a saint, you suffer from as if you are going to die. I will explain to you, it's not negative. Milat ek daat dukh darun dehi. Unsaintly people, the moment you meet them, you would have been dead better. Now, to understand a broader and profounder meaning, when saintly association strips you of your normal prana, you live to enjoy the world, eat, drink, be merry. Now, the moment you have met a saint, you have found a joy greater than what the world goes after. So the moment a saint has met you, he has killed you. You are not the same. And there are lots of sections in the Ramayana that will go on describing the saintly qualities and their glory. One statement is there, Tat Swarga Pavarga Sukh Dhariye Tulai Kang Tulayana Tahi Sakala Mili Jo Sukhala Satsanga. Bring all the pleasures of this world as well as the subtle world, astral world. All the pleasures of the three lokas and put them on one side of the weighing scale. And one moment of joy arising out of satsanga on the other side. That moment, that part of the scale will go down. It will show its heaviness. It will outweigh. The implication, without satsanga, you have already traveled through many lives. How many lives? You have to go on calculating it. No matter how much you come to calculation, it is little. Multiply million times and trillion times. The world is not set in a mathematical data. So the idea is you have gone through lots of troubles. You have met people, lived with them for years, but all of that has led you only to mortality. But if you were to become inspired by satsanga, satsanga can have many aspects. This is the normal satsanga, when you hear and something, a bell rings within your mind and you understand it. One little understanding, and suddenly your soul begins to move on the higher path. And your life will not be the same. So the moment you met the saintly movement, you are going to die to the previous personality. Must realize this type of meaning, people don't draw from it. उपजहि एक संग जग माही जलज जोक जिमिज गुण बिल गाही सुधा सुरा सम साधु असाधु जनक एक जग जलधि अगाधु. Sant and asant, saintly people and unsaintly people, they grow in the same world, just like lotus and leech. They grow in the same pond. If you get friendly with the leech will become more friendly than you expect. They suck out your blood. So daivi sampat type of people are lotuses. Asuri sampat people, the demoniac people, they are the leech. But don't go too far to think of who is demon. You must realize both are mixed in your mind. The demoniac quality developing in your mind will suck out all your energy. It's a leech. Divine movement in your mind will make your mind a bee. And the divine love will be like the lotus. And the bee will go after drinking the honey of the lotus. If you don't like lotus, let there be any other flower. The bee will go after the honey. All these are allegorical way of explaining that you live, you grow in the same world. Those who have good karmas and those who are blessed by Satsanga, especially, not just good karmas, blessed by Satsanga, they are growing like lotus. Those who do not have that type of Satsanga, they are led by their own ego and their desires from life to life. They have been trying to suck out happiness out of the objects of the world, Vishaya Sukh. And the objects of the world have no happiness in them. But with all your tentacles, with all your feet, those leeches sometimes have many feet. You try to cling to the objects of the world. Who becomes the leech? It is hard to say. I'm joking. Lotus gives you happiness just the moment you look at it. But leech, even without desiring it, it gets into your body. You know it only after some time later, and goes on sucking out your blood. That's again subtle point to understand. If mind were to develop love for integral yoga, and in that process of love were to develop love of God, bhakti, as bhakti begins to develop your mind, then you are in the world, and the world abounds with lotuses. Your mind will go after lotuses and their inspiring character. But if mind is not inspired by love of God, no matter how much you have done, no matter how great you have been from life to life, maybe 100 lives you have been powerful, in spite of all that, you are in the predicament of being sucked out by leeches. The world for you will be a source of misery, because the world will be filled with leeches. Same world that inspires you like lotuses sucks out your blood in the form of being leeches, not leeches. Leeches are good fruits. Saintly people are like nectar. They lead your soul to immortality. Unsaintly people are like Madira, drink, that puts the finger towards the churning of the ocean. That again the allegorical story where the ocean was churned. Ocean is the world process. And with the help of gods and demons, the plan was to churn the ocean. In that churning, poison emerged out of the ocean, and Shiva drank it. So his throat became blue. The idea is the poison of the world call it sin, call it whatsoever, has been already destroyed by God. Poison of the world is nothing but dark force. Shades of darkness do not exist in reality. So in all religions of the world, one way or the other, sins are already being paid for, expiated. Poison has been already drunk. The idea behind it, you are not working to remedy the poison as if it is a reality. It is a matter of ignorance, moving your mind away from darkness to light. That's the spiritual movement. Darkness has nothing substantial in it. So whatsoever you have found in darkness, that's not the reality. But as long as you go on talking about karmas, you are in darkness. As long as you are talking about sins and how to deal with them, as well as virtuous qualities, I'm not talking about the normal virtuous qualities, meritorious deeds. The idea that since I have done meritorious deeds, I will be in the best position in the world, I will be prosperous. All that is in the world of darkness. The reality is, all this karma and karmic fruits have been already destroyed. All the earthly limitations are destroyed in the sun. Sun doesn't have any. Therefore, if you love God, if you love the sun, all these forces of darkness, they will be conquered by you. They will not overwhelm you. Now coming back to simple way, Amrit and poison both arose out of the churning. The big poison was sucked up by Shiva. But then there arose nectar, and Lord Vishnu cheated the demons and gave the nectar to gods. I can give you some extended story about it. Demons and gods, they were involved in churning. Both of them wanted to become immortal. But gods had already a plan not to give the nectar to demons. But in the process of churning, demons were needed. Your higher self and lower self both are needed to create a churning. Churning is your sadhana, your meditation, your spiritual movement. But as churning goes on, what happens? The lower self in you begins to be defeated. In the story of the nectar churning, this is an extended story, that proposal was made by gods. When the nectar came, demons became very excited and they wanted first. And with the advice of Lord Vishnu, they invited all the demons to line up and nectar and the nectar will be served to them. But hardly they were all ready and nectar had started coming. A condition was placed before them, that you are eat all the nectar, but don't bend your arm. Unbended. Keep your arm straight and eat all the nectar you can. Demons walked out. This is a big insult. When the gods were called, And they were told the same thing. Immediately what happened, the two different rows of people, they came together. They said, come together, closer. I will feed you, you feed me. So it is this type of philosophy that allows you to take the nectar. The world has both nectar and poison. The negative quality in you that doesn't allow you to do good to others, but all for yourself. Your hand moves only for your mouth, not for others' mouth. Then you are asuras. But if your hand moves not only for your mouth, but for others' mouth, that means spirit of service. Here in this verse, Tulsidasji reminds you that what the demons received were Madira. Madira is drinking, that alcohol type. But what it actually implies, moh, deluded mind, pramad, a life that always moves towards laziness. Things to be done, you put them procrastination, put them for tomorrow. Things that are useless, be involved in them. Things that are profound, that could enrich you faster, set them away. That's called pramad. And moha, pramad, and jadata, dullness. So as you live through your life, not getting the higher movement, not moving to Shreya, then that is where your mind is engrossed in moha, in laziness, and in dullness. On the other hand, you move towards nectar, your mind goes on drawing all the daivi, sampat, divine qualities, and ultimately moves towards enlightenment. Bhala anabhala nij nij karatuti, lahat suja sapalok vibhuti, sudha sudha kar sur sari sadhu, garal anal kalimal sari vyadhu, gun avagun janat sab koi, jo jahi bhavani tehi soi. In this world, there is a blend of good and evil, Preya and Shreya, forces of darkness and forces of light, divine qualities and undivine qualities. There is a mix-up. How mixed up? Nectar, Amrit, Chandrama, moon, the waxing moon, the sacred Ganga, and saintly personalities. These are like nectar of the world process. On the other hand, poison, fire, certain parts of the world, certain parts of India are especially have bad names. Karmanasha is a river which is contrary to Ganga river. It takes one to hell. And then there are people who are criminals, who are butchers. Good and evil are there everywhere in this world. Bhalo bhalaihi pailahai lahai nichaihi nichu sudha sarahi amarata garal sarahi amichu. Goodness is like fragrance. And you appreciate goodness by its good quality. But you are not looking for goodness. If you are not looking for sandal paste, and you are looking for onion soup, you have to go to different direction. Nothing against onions. But the world is a combination of both divine and undivine. If you are thriving on undivine forces, then the world is there to give you all the opportunities. If you want to move to divine, then again the world gives you all the opportunities. You praise nectar because it immortalizes you. You praise poison because it kills you. So both are potent. And with this I will conclude. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.